welcome back to Pinoy News. Man, listen, all right. I I just saw this video and I got about like 5, 6 minutes in. And I was like, all right, well, this is kind of addressing all the things I've been going over inside of my head as a whole, and we've been talking about on Discord. So I think we're going to break down what this moron says, and we're going to have a conversation about this idiot because he's giving the worst advice ever. And if any of you follow what he says, like I will slap you. All right. Like, let's get into this, what I mean, because he's wrong on everything that he says. Let's rock.
Conversation, go to our YouTube channel, The Realignment Podcast, or check us out wherever you listen to your podcasts. Hope you enjoy it.
I think my generation has absolutely implemented a set of deliberate policies. There's this delusion of complexity around the issues that ail us, and that these are big problems, structural issues, and all these forces that are outside of our control have all come together to basically take the wealth of people under the age of 40 and take it from 20% of our GDP or 19% of our GDP to 9%. That we accidentally fucked your generation. It was not accidental. It was purposeful. Take the two biggest tax deductions, mortgage interest and capital gains. Who owns a home and who owns stock? People my age. Who rents and gets their income from current income? People your age. What do you need to get ahead? You need education. What field has gone up 1,400% on an inflation-adjusted basis? Education. I mean, just who's about to get the biggest cost of living adjusted?
All right. So let's talk about this, right? Because this is kind of important. So I've been talking about this premise of what like Social Security is, right? And at the end of westward expansion, has been done for a while now, and everybody's kind of settling in. And the entire idea of old age insurance is just dumb as a whole, right? But like the problem is that like we don't want to have this conversation and tell people like, hey, look, this is going to be the last generation to get Social Security, and we're going to end the program. And from now on, like you need to like rely on your fucking children to take care of you. You know what I mean? And get back to the family structure as a whole, right? We need to kind of take a step backwards. We don't want to have that talk because like, that talk's very hard to have from politicians and people going, oh, well, we're paying in and and all this fucking dumb shit. It's stupid, right? Secondly, the idea that this was deliberate is dumb, right? Because this wasn't a deliberate thing. This is what capitalism does is make things more efficient, right? So basically the premise is this. If you want to stand here and have a supercharged economy, you're going to offload as much as you can onto the public sector, right? And have as much subsidized as possible. China does this, right? With like their energy policy for their factory. Like people talk about like China gives their factories free energy, which is why people manufacture over there and all these type of things. But like the truth is that we do the same thing, right? Because so instead of having companies train employees, we send you to college, right? Because it's way cheaper to have the public sector or, like people themselves fund their training rather than companies do it. It's even getting down to the point now where like you have to go to community college, you get a forklift certificate. You have to go to like some bullshit course at like the community college to be able to go work at like fucking like TGI Friday. So you're certified safe for, like fucking whatever, right? Rather than having companies do the goddamn training themselves, right? And they go, oh, because it's for standardization and insurance purposes. It's not. All right. Like, yes, like insurance gives people breaks for these type of things. But ultimately, it's about the fact that like, if they had to spend the time to train you to do what you're supposed to do and you become good at what you do, you demand more money. Right. So it's literally like them becoming, you know what I'm saying, to the point of where they go, you should be more, they're trying to become as efficient as possible and run things as cheap as possible to make sure that their stock price goes up and make sure that you have the ability to have, like the fucking price of their equities go upward, right? Because basically our entire system is reliant upon, like the system going upwards so people can retire and pay taxes, and like pay their fucking property taxes and pay their mortgages and pay their bills and continue to be consumers and pay for fucking health insurance and all the stuff that goes with it, right? So that's really where the fuck we are as a whole. Like the entire premise of our entire society is based off of the fucking market, making companies become more efficient, right? And this efficiency is now showing its motherfucking cracks, and we're going like, holy shit, like what the fuck have we done? Right? This is not really, you know what I mean, something that was done deliberately. This was something that was done so we can go, oh, we need to beat the goddamn USSR and the fucking Russians. You know what I mean? Like that's what this shit was really about in the end of the day. So let's keep going now.
Increase in history, Social Security recipients who happen to be old people. Who gets bailed out during these crises? Old people. It just goes on and on and on about.
Yeah, you know what I mean, because like we told them that they can live alone forever. like you know what I'm saying? Like we told them they could be, you know what I mean, like independent, right? And you know they vote. That's just the reality of things. You know what I mean? So like politicians are going to do what's best for politicians because old people vote, and we promise them a whole bunch of shit that's just fucking possible to do. Let's keep rocking though.
Everything we do is to effect a transfer of wealth from people your age to people of my age. So first off, there's just more headwinds in your face than there was in my generation. To be born in 1964, a white heterosexual male in California meant you got near free education from UCLA and Berkeley. My total tuition from UCLA undergrad and Berkeley grad was $7,000. In addition, it was accessible. The admissions rate at UCLA when I applied was 76%. Now it's 6%. So it's not only more expensive for people in your generation, it's less accessible because my generation has entered into this NIMBYist rejectionist bullshit complexion where once I have my degree, I like that it's hard for you to get a degree because that makes my degree more valuable. Once I have a house, I'm going to put in place all sorts of zoning restrictions that don't make it easy to build new housing because I want my house to go up in value. And once I have a company.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean, because like we've taken, you know what I mean, the whole premise of home ownership and turned it into it going from a home to being a fucking asset, right? Like your home's not supposed to be an asset. It's literally not. It was never an asset. Like these are a lot of these I'm gonna call them trickle down wealth policies, right? Not in the Ronald Reagan sense, but it trickled down from wealthy people to like normal human beings. It's like feminism. Feminism's great for like rich people's wives because like, you know, they don't fucking, you know, they have free time and they have lots of, you know, I mean, cash to spend, these type of things. It's terrible for poor people. Horrible. A lot of the child support, great for rich folks. Terrible. The worst thing you could do to poor people. Legit, right? You know what I'm saying? Treating your home not as a home, but as an asset. Great for rich people because they have $1 billion fucking house or whatever, right? I mean, so it is an asset, right? It's literally an asset. You know what I mean? It's something that like, it shows their prestige. Like they have people living on their land who like, you know, earn off their fucking land and shit. You know, again, you know what I mean? It's an asset. Poor people, that's your home. It's where your children sleep. Right? It's, you know, it's where your fucking babies are raised. You had a little spot in the corner of your fucking house where you measure your kids, right? It's a home. It's not an asset. It's a place when your kids get old and they have kids, they come back and know this is grandma and grandpa's house. This is where mommy used to sleep, right? This is the type of thing, you know what I mean, that like legitimately is supposed to be, right? But instead we go, no, it's an asset, right? It's something that's supposed to go up in value because you're fucking borderline retarded because you're going to pay more taxes on it every year. It's these terrible ideologies, right, that have been passed down from rich people to poor people because we're dumb. And on top of that, property tax is literally like fucking a terrible tax as a whole. Like I had somebody last night trying to argue that property tax is a good idea and it's like paying rent to the state forever is a positive thing. Like that sounds fucking stupid. But all right, let's keep rocking.
Company that's hugely successful. I'm going to spend a ton of money to try and make it impossible for new companies to emerge. So we have this deliberate transfer of wealth from your generation to my generation. So the first is we absolutely need to say, okay, this has happened. We decided it could happen. So we need to unhappen it and not throw up our arms and say, oh, we can't figure this out. In terms of where I would go, I think about this a lot. Advice to young people. One, I would get to a city. Just, you want to have the winds at your back.
Yeah.
It's just much easier. I don't know if either of you surf, but occasionally I'll surf somewhere where there's an incredible offshore breeze and perfect waves, and I talk myself into believing I'm a good surfer. No, I'm not. You're
Okay, let's talk about this. First off, don't go to a city. All right, just don't go to a city. Legitimately, that's like, that might be the dumbest advice he is like anyone could ever give somebody who wants to like get moving. Don't go to a city. Do not go to a city. Legitimately, like, try to avoid the city at all costs. See if you can find you a decent paying gig somewhere where the cost of living is very low, right? Because if you can find a remote workplace or a job that you travel, right, and you have a home base in a place like Kentucky or West Virginia or, I don't, Tennessee, right, Northeast Tennessee, something, right, you're going to pay next to nothing for rent and or for a house or whatever it is or for land, and you can live like a fucking king. Like, don't go to a city. Like, this guy is might be, he might really actually be trying to harm the younger generation by saying these type of things. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with him. His brain doesn't operate.
Great surfer because of the perfect conditions. And then I surf in, real waves, and I realize I don't know how to surf. You want to pick the right beaches, and there's just a few basics. You want to get to a city. 2/3 of economic value or increases in economic value.
Yeah, just don't. I understand what he's saying. Don't. Okay, legitimately, right? Because like the vast majority of products that are like shipped to a city are nowhere near a fucking city, right? The vast majority of value, like here's a secret in life. The closer you go to the top of a fucking production chain, the more money you make. It's a really simple thing, right? The individuals like making steel or like mining or, like fucking the people who are working on the oil rigs, guys making all the money. All right. The guy at the gas station making dick. Basic premise, right? The individuals who are over here, like, selling parts for a car aren't making shit. But the individuals who are making the parts are making $50 an hour, right? The guys who are in a foundry pouring the parts making like fucking $60 an hour. The closer you get to the top of production, the better off you are. And that is done far away from places and cities. Okay. That's done in like the middle of Indiana somewhere, right? Or like in fucking goddamn in Kansas or in Ohio or in Kentucky, right? Or even in places, like Arizona, right? Get away from fucking the production. Get away from the end of the goddamn retail spot. Like, this guy is fucking dumb. Let's keep going.
Are going to happen in 20 super cities over the next 20 or 30 years. Even with COVID, you'd rather be good in a city than great in a smaller city.
The cities are going to die, all right, in the next 20 or 30 years. It's already been shown. They're losing value right now. Like, this guy's fucking stupid.
You want to get certified for all the criticism that people don't own college. It's a defense mechanism to make them feel better about the fact that they're being rejected or can't afford it. It's still...
if you have an IQ higher than 120, don't go to college. Flat out. Right, I'm gonna tell you why right now. The cream always rises to the top. Yes, you're gonna need a work ethic. You're gonna need to learn how to grind. You're gonna have to learn on the job about things quickly, right? Legitimately. Do not go to fucking college if your IQ over 120. If you're like a 110, 100 guy, yeah, go to college. Your best bet is to get a fucking degree so you can go sit in an office somewhere and go, I have a degree. Look at me with your little kazoo hat, right? If you have an IQ over $120, don't go to college. You will do a whole lot better without a college education any fucking way. Real shit. That extra 10, 15 IQ point fucking spread, it'll explode. You know what I mean? You will do so much better than everybody the fuck else, no matter what happens. You will be fine. You know how to adapt. You can learn. You're able to grasp concepts and use them. You will be fucking fine without college. I promise. All right. You can read, get on the job training. You know what I'm saying? Like, learn how to do things with your hands, learn how to figure shit out, and you will learn how to be way happier without going to goddamn college. Real shit. That's the secret. Keep rocking.
The graduates in my class at Stern, the average salary is $212,000. Wow. That's the average Meaning someone if is only making 110 at a nonprofit, there's someone making 300, and these kids are 28, 29. So college, especially at elite universities, is still paying off. I would focus a lot, I mean, this sounds strange, but on mental and physical toughness. Try and work out 4 or 5 times a week.
All right. So, okay, working out's not going to do it for you. Okay. You need to go get a job where you're going to have to learn how to be mentally and physically tough. Right. So I'm going to tell you, I was 18. Probably actually like long before this, I learned all these things, but like I was 18, I was at a job and I had a baby, and I had a wife and I had a house and I had 2 cars and I was working really hard. I was working 13 hours a day at this grocery warehouse where like I was order selecting, and I was on my 13th hour and I was dead. Like every bone in my body was screaming at me. Every muscle was just going, no more, please stop. And I was exhausted being up with my baby all the time and taking care of things. And I was 18 and my brain was going, fuck. All right, I get up to the place where they're checking out what I'm doing, right? Before I put it on the truck. And I'm making good money. I'm making, shit, at this point, like $700-800 a week. At 18, this is in 2001, right? This is a lot of money back then. And so I stand here and I get up and they pull a case out of my thing that I fucked up and it dropped on the floor. Like everything just dropped on the floor. And I went outside and I hung my head in my hands and I cried. And I looked at my son's picture took it out of my pocket, looked at his picture, and I said, all right, I got to get this done. And I went and finished my day up, right? And I went and found another job like a week after that. But, physical fucking toughness, mental toughness. These are things that you will fucking develop. It's that simple, right? When you go do real work, when you go do jobs where like it's 10 degrees at the fucking place you're working and you jump off a piece of steel onto concrete and your ankles feel like they're going to fucking explode. Your feet feel like they shattered in the glass. You will build these things. You'll just get used to it and you'll push through and you'll handle your business and you'll be around other guys who, they're going to look at you and they're going to look exhausted and you're going to go, I'm exhausted too, but we're going to get this shit the fuck done. You will build these things. You just got to take that motherfucking time to learn how to fucking do it. Working out will not help you. I promise you that. This guy knows it because he's 60 something years old. And that's something that was built into them motherfuckers because they actually had to do things when they were younger. There wasn't all these fucking machines. He had to go move shit by hand. It's just how he was built. You didn't take a fucking car ride to go to the grocery store. You carried your groceries 6 blocks to fuck home. That's the difference between him and y'all, all right? We don't do that anymore, okay? We used to do it when I was a kid. Y'all don't have that. You're going to have to build it on your own, but it's something you can do. You know what I'm saying? Again, if you have a high IQ, you have the ability to motherfucking go handle your business, you will be just fine in life. The cream always rises to the top, all right? Like, oh yeah, the cream will rise to the top. Oh yeah, Mean Gene. Let's keep going though.
Week, I think it makes you less prone to depression. It makes you feel better about yourself. It makes you more confident in the pursuit of mates. It gives you the endurance. When I worked at Morgan Stanley right out of UCLA, I wasn't as well educated as the rest, not because UCLA wasn't a great institution, but because I spent the majority of my 5 years smoking pot and watching Planet of the Apes. I just was not as skilled as my peers. So I decided every week, Tuesday morning, I'd go to work and I wouldn't leave till Wednesday night. I'd work through the night. I would work 36 hours straight.
Remember something. This guy is from the upper class. He went literally from elementary high school to UCLA to Morgan Stanley. This guy comes from a whole different position than anybody that's listening to this fucking video right now. None of you will have that life. I fucking promise you. You're going to have to learn how to be satisfied with your position in the fucking world because you earned it. And you go, you know what? Above all else, I did this. This is me. You know what I'm saying? And I made all this shit happen on my own, right? Without mommy and daddy, without anybody's fucking say so, without having somebody in the back room go, hey, my kid needs a job. Why don't you stand here and we're not going to have none of these things. Okay. We got to do it on our own. That's fine. But you need to be satisfied with what you make. And it's okay if you fail. Don't worry about it. We all do 1,000 times. You have to learn how to understand failure is part of life. Okay. You're going to take chances. You're going to take risks. You're going to fuck up. It's okay. Don't worry. Just pick yourself back up You know what I'm saying? Brush the dirt off. Go, all right, we're going to try it again. You know what I mean? Because I promise you, none of us are successful our first time out. This guy has had one career his whole fucking life. Everybody else, all right, in our average generation, we have fucking 5 careers before 40. Different fields. Completely. Because this world is not like his. And let's be real here. Most of us, that means all of us, for the most part, are doing everything on our own. So just chill out. It'll be all right. Let's keep going.
And I got a reputation as that crazy guy who rode crew at UCLA who used to come in every Tuesday morning and leave Wednesday night. And it sent a signal that I was there to play. And I could do it. I didn't have a wife. I didn't have dogs. I had nothing going on. And I was physically really strong. And I was mentally strong, mostly from playing sports. And I think young people want to figure out a way to lift heavy weights and run long distances in their mind.
Sports are important, 100%. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, it's the group activity. Like, so in a group, you're going to have people in the front, people in the back, right? And like all the people in the middle are trying to stay in the fucking middle, right? And so like you will push yourself past your limits a lot of the time just to stay next to the guy who's just a little bit better than you, right? And like you all bring yourselves up the whole way up the line, right? And it builds shit inside of you that like the fortitude of like who the fuck you are. And sports are great. You know, I mean, you need these things as a kid. And I understand like concussions and all the nonsense, blah, blah, blah. Fuck that, right? Like, yo, risk, life is risk, okay? You're supposed to be violent, okay? And like the whole CTE thing, it's literally like because of repeated head knocks over and 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 over again, okay? It's something that, you know, it's something that happens as an adult. This is not things that actually, you know what I mean, like these are things that can like not so much repair, but they will not affect you as badly if you take them when you're younger, right? That's kind of where it gets down to. Like, you probably shouldn't be knocking your head into the wall as a fucking grown man. Like, because your body's not going to repair it anywhere near as easily as it will when you're a fucking child. You know what I mean? You don't have the time to be able, and you don't have the testosterone. You don't have any of that shit going to motherfucking fix your motherfucking mental and shit. But let's keep going.
And in the gym, I think physical and mental toughness, really pushing yourself while you're young, is incredibly powerful. And then I think trying to take a certain amount of your day to invest in relationships really efficiently. Quick text messages. I admire you. I was thinking about you. I thought what you did today in that meeting was really impressive. So education, getting to a city, physical and mental strength. Trying to guess which category. I mean, anything near processing power or software is probably going to, anything around fintech. I think probably the greatest disruption or an interesting place to be would to try and position yourself at the intersection between technology and healthcare, the largest industry in America that I think is just so ripe for disruption. I would have said that about education, but I keep waiting for the disruption and it keeps not happening. But loosely speaking, some best practices around being physically and mentally tough, getting certified and getting to the right geography. And before you collect dogs and kids, get to a city, because once you collect those things, it's very hard to stay in a city. And also, and it sounds very boomerish, give up the notion of balance. You can have it all, you just can't have it all at once. And everybody knows somebody who makes a shit ton of money, has great relationships, is in good shape, has a food blog, and donates time at the SPCA. Assume you are not that person. I did nothing, or pretty much nothing, but work in my 20s and 30s.
All right, so, okay, let's talk about this. In your early 20s, right, you're going to work and you're going to play, right? And if you have kids and shit, hopefully you'll find other people around you who are doing the same thing, people from your peer group. But like in your 20s, you're going to work and you're going to play. You're going to hang out with your friends, and you should. Like 100%. Like, enjoy your fucking life, son. Like, real shit. You only get to be 20 once. Like, every 65-year-old goddamn boomer with $1 billion, all right, or $1 million would trade every fucking cent he had to go back to being fucking 20 years old again. All right. Youth is the most valuable thing you will ever have. Real shit. Because once you get older, all that shit stops. right? Because once you settle in that groove where you're going to work every day and you're grinding, you're making your money, you're handling your business, you're paying your bills, you're doing all this shit, right? There's no time for fucking friends and relationships anymore. It's just not there. And you can't drink, you can't fucking smoke, you can't do all this shit, right? Because of the fact that, like, you got responsibilities you have to handle. You can't be fucking drinking till 3 a.m. and fucking on a Saturday because Sunday morning your kids want breakfast. You know what I mean? Or you got responsibilities to motherfucking handle. God damn it, man. Listen, fucking all these goddamn Discord notifications, right? But like, legitimately, you need to stand here and have all this. You need to have your fucking fun, you know what I mean, when you're a goddamn kid and shit. You know what I mean? Like when you're in your fucking 20s, enjoy yourself. Still go to work, still handle your business, learn, right? That's what your fucking early 20s are about. By your mid 20s, you should be settling in and motherfucking getting ready for, you know what I mean, like what you're going to be doing until you're 35, right? Because shit will probably fall apart at that point. And, you know what I mean, you're going to have to fucking figure some new shit out again. So, like, it is what it is. It's just cycle of life. You know what I mean? Figure on every 10 years, things changing. You know what I'm saying? God damn it, man. Listen, Discord. All right, let's keep rocking though.
It cost me my hair, it cost me my marriage, and it was worth it. I have a lot of balance now. And the reason I have balance is because I have the economic freedom to have balance. Because unfairly,
You want economic balance, don't live in a city. 100%. You can move to someplace out in the middle of the boonies, you know what I mean, and like have cheap fucking bills and control your cost. That is the number one secret in all of life, is controlling fucking cost. Real shit. That is the biggest secret, is keeping your fucking bills low. Like minimalism is just utmost. Like, you will never be more successful in life than when like you're living on starvation mode. You will never, you'd be amazed how quick you can pay your bills when you're standing here just living, you know what I mean, very lightly. And that's a great way to do things. If you can learn how to be minimalistic and still enjoy yourself, like find some things that you want, right? That you enjoy, you know, like a bike, for instance, you know what I mean? Something dumb like this, like having a bike and going biking, you know what I mean? Like fucking going out riding your bike and fucking, you know, just doing things like getting out on the fucking trails or whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? But like expensive toys end up being like a fucking, they end up being a giant anchor around your goddamn neck. Real shit. Like that happens all the fucking time. And it will add up very quickly. You just trying to enjoy shit. You know what I mean? That is the biggest secret. Like, yo, toys are expensive. Video game systems are unfucking godly expensive. They start really adding up quickly. All these little internet things, Netflix, fucking Amazon, fucking, you know, then you got Hulu, then you got Disney Plus, then you got fucking, you know, then you got, you know, like your subscription to fucking some, I don't know, like I got a subscription on Substack, and then I got guys on YouTube, I pay for their Patreon, and I got all these things, right? And then once you have all these fucking things, they just start racking up and racking up and racking up and racking up. And soon you find yourself where you're like, all right, you know, and then you got an $80 internet bill every fucking month, and then you got a fucking cell phone bill, it's $100 every month, and then like, you know, it just keeps banging and keep banging and keep banging, you know. And so you get to this point where you go, holy shit, you know, my bullshit, my pleasure things are just costing me so much fucking money. Find simple goddamn things to enjoy, like 100%. Let's keep rocking.
a career trajectory at your age, at 30, is unfairly important, because it's like a rocket. The soup to get out of the atmosphere, the amount of fuel you have to burn to get out of inner space.
Oh, and by the way, he said, yeah, it cost you my hair, it cost you my marriage. No, it wasn't worth it, son. Like, you're legit. That's not worth it. Like 100%. It's not. I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, family first. Like all the time. You know, man, I understand that, like, you know, like we're all going to lose our relationships because that's what the fuck happens. But like, family first. You know what I mean? Like, nothing outside of like your wife should cost you your marriage. Right? Like that's just some real shit. If you put your fucking career and everything and shit, like the whole world in front of your goddamn family, like you're fucking up. Like real talk, because you're not enjoying your life. You're not living your life. And like, if you have kids and like, you know, I mean, you're looking at your goddamn kids and you go like, I don't get to spend any time with you because all I do is fucking work. You need to think about your life again. Right? Because like, they don't need a lot of shit. You're literally doing things because like you want to do things. It's not because they need them. They need you. Right. Let's keep rocking though.
It's because it's so thick. You have to burn so much fuel. And then once you get to a point where you have some money to invest, a reputation, contacts, some credibility, if you can go into space with that trajectory, I just get further faster on less fuel than you do right now.
Right.
But God, get out of that inner space, and there's just no getting around it. It's just a lot of work. It gets more competitive every day. I don't know anybody that wasn't smart enough to inherit wealth, or wasn't smart enough to inherit wealth, that is really successful, that hasn't had a 10 or 20 year stretch where they were really burning it from both ends.
Mm-hmm. Quick follow-up on this. So, Scott, you know this, I'm sure listeners know this, Stern is an incredible school. When I'm thinking about folks who are struggling with college right now, I'm thinking of a person who went to second or third tier directional state university or even a private college and has just too much debt during their 20s in search of something that wasn't really going to be there. What would your advice be to folks who are kind of trying to treat this moment as a reset point, considering maybe you got some student debt written off, all those different things?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. The transfer of wealth of $1.5 trillion from middle-class homes to universities in the form of student debt, some of it's still worth it. I mean, when I was going to school, I borrowed money to get through undergrad. I borrowed money to get through grad. It was just a no-brainer. It was just a good deal. And what universities have done is they've captured that surplus benefit. They've taken it back. And to borrow $100,000 to get a history degree from a tier 2 university, for the first time, it's not entirely obvious that that's going to work. And to shove paperwork in.
For the first time, it's not entirely. It's not going to work. Right? It's just not. Like, don't do that. Don't go to college for history. Like, I talked to a dude on Discord. He's like, I'm going to school for music. Like, you might be fucking legally retarded, son. Don't go to school for music. It's the dumbest shit you could possibly do. But I'll be real. This video is getting kind of long, so I think we're going to end it right here. Y'all know the deal, man. Like, share, and subscribe. Y'all know what it is. Hit that goddamn fucking subscribe button hard. Smash that bitch. I'm going to holla at y'all motherfuckers later. Peace.